It's summer vacation time, and everybody's supposed to be carefree. So why is it one of the biggest times for fraud? Hi, everybody. Welcome to the County Seat. I'm your host, Chad Booth. Today, we are going to look at fraud at the gas pump. It's big, and we're not talking about people driving off not paying for their gas. We're talking about skimmers, where you put in the card, buy your gas, and by the time you get to your next stop, somebody spent thousands of your dollars. It is a growing problem, and it all starts by identifying what skimmers are and how they work. Let's take a look.
When you stopped to get gas in your car or truck last time, did you take a good close look at the gas pump? Chances are you got out, swiped your card, and started pumping fuel without ever giving it a second thought. But in just the few seconds it takes to slide your card, a scammer may have already swiped your credit or debit card information.
Well, credit card skimmers are becoming more of an issue nationwide, including Utah. We've had a few incidents where they have been discovered throughout the state.
These skimmers on gas pumps are just one of multiple ways credit cards are stolen and fraudulently used every day all over the world. According to the Nielsen report, there were over $21 billion lost worldwide to fraudulent card transactions in 2015. And by the year 2020, it is expected that number will rise to over $31 billion. A large portion of that number comes from card data taken by credit card skimmers. These small devices come in a few different varieties. Some are devices that attach to the outside of the card reader at the pump, but the one that is becoming more and more troublesome is a type hidden inside the gas pump itself. While not normally in their line of work, the Utah Department of Agriculture and Food and the Weights and Measures program are helping to find and put a stop to these skimmers.
As a department who frequently inspects fuel stations, we've taken it upon ourselves to train our employees what to look for when doing an inspection. It's just an extra set of eyes. As they're doing their inspection, they can check the pumps, look for anything suspicious or that might be of concern that needs to be reported to the local authorities.
With the help of groups like the Department of Weights and Measures, these skimmers are being found. However, you should still do what you can to protect yourself.
I would advise consumers to use pumps that are closest to the fuel station doors. Crooks are less likely to affix these devices to the pumps up front. Avoid using the pumps that are far away from the front door. Use a credit card instead of a debit card because that way it's more secure. You're protected financially by your credit institution. And then also I find myself actually when I go to fill up with gas, I'll fill the machine to see if there's anything that's loose or out of the ordinary.
There are some other options that can easily help protect your card data. Walk into the store to pay with your card, or even use cold, hard cash. For the County Seat, I'm Malia Stringham.
Thanks, Malia. We'll be right back with the County Seat. When we come back, we will sit down with someone from the Division of Weights and Measures, who is in charge of all these pumps, and somebody from a police department to find out what we all can do collectively to improve the situation.
There's a little place on a Utah map where I was raised, where my heart's at, where the sagebrush grows wild and high, and the stars come out at night. Oh, there ain't nothing like being raised in the basin with a Ute reservation, skiing starvation, that Duchesne County life.
Look south to adventure. Look south to beauty. Look south to San Juan County. Out here, the road goes on forever, and what you'll find will change how you see the world. Climb on your OHV and discover forgotten landscapes and vistas that challenge the imagination. From Blanding and Monticello to the cliff faces of Monument Valley, we're open and ready for you to explore. San Juan County, Utah's canyon country.
ATV? Check. Four-wheel driving? Check. Bouldering? Check. Mountain biking? Check. Hiking? Check. River rafting? Check. Adventure is about more than just crossing activities off of a list, but hey, if you can find a place that gives you everything you're looking for, all the better. In Emery County, you'll find the San Rafael Swell, trails, lakes, and the small-town hospitality you're looking for. San Rafael Country, in the heart of Utah. Visit us and check something off your list.
Welcome back to the county seat. We are talking today about credit card fraud and skimmers in particular. With the summer season, it becomes a big issue. As a matter of fact, the Department of Agriculture and Food, who is in charge of pumps, gas pumps around the state as part of their mission statement, has issued a news release, and we thought that we should talk about it so that when your vacation time comes around, you're well prepared. I do want to start with a question, though. Our guests today are Sergeant Brian Taylor, who's the PIO for the Provo City Police Department, Brett Gurney, who is the program manager for the Division of Weights and Measures as part of the Department of Agriculture. I think I got that title right. It's a long one. Right. So Brett, people are going, okay, ag and food, why are you guys involved in weights and measures and cash registers? Because that doesn't seem to make sense.
Well, Weights and Measures has been involved in a lot of different aspects throughout the years. We're concerned about customers and businesses getting correct measurements, and that when a person goes to a gas pump, that they are actually getting what they pay for, that when they purchase a gallon of fuel, that it really is a gallon.
I guess historically, 100 years ago, most of what people purchased was indeed probably food.
Right. It's been throughout the years, there's been a lot of different types of commodities, and as the years have gone by, our program has been more involved in various different things. It's really limitless with what the Weights and Measures program does. If you think about the many different things a consumer buys, it's really endless.
So I suppose this is kind of like a morphing out of that, because one would not have thought that you would have to be dealing with credit card fraud in pumps, but I mean, is this really a big problem? I go to a gas station, I'm not particularly concerned, and maybe I should be.
Well, it's becoming more of a problem, not only in Utah, but throughout the country. And as consumers purchase their fuel, and businesses, they sell fuel, they need to be aware of this possible problem. People can go in unannounced and install some type of a skimming device into a gas pump. The gas pump is, an item that collects data from credit cards and debit cards. People may be nearby collecting that information. There are other kinds that the person may come back to collect the information, and it's very discouraging to people when they discover that their credit card and their debit card information has been compromised.
How big of a problem does that end up being in Provo?
Well, fraud and credit fraud is a large problem. Figuring out how much of it is related to the mechanical theft from a skimming device is very difficult from a law enforcement point of view. A fraudster will install a device at a point of sale somewhere and commonly come back and collect that device and be gone. And then the first evidence that we have of it is a consumer realizes that they have been a victim of credit fraud, and they don't know how. They don't know that their card was compromised when they put it in a gas pump or a card reader somewhere. They just know that there's money missing from their account.
So if you were to take 10 people and put them in a room, from your experience in Provo, how many of them would end up, I mean, would we be surprised at the number of people that have been skimmed?
I've been skimmed. Does that surprise you? I'm a cautious guy and a police professional, but it's happened to me, and I don't think I'm uncommon. It was just a few years ago. I was on my way up Little Cottonwood Canyon, and I used a gas pump in Sandy before I drove up the canyon. And fortunately, my financial institution caught it very rapidly. I don't know how they did that, but they called me and said, there's a problem with your account. But it happened to me, and it happens to many people.
So that's a surprise to me. A financial institution can actually figure when something's been skimmed?
Well, I used my card and made a legitimate purchase, and very quickly someone had captured that information with the skimming device and reused it in another transaction, which the bank flagged as suspicious.
Oh, okay. That makes sense. That makes sense.
And, you know, credit to Zions Bank for having an aggressive fraud prevention and detection effort, and I was grateful to them.
Yeah, excellent. Okay, well, we're going to take a quick break here on the county seat. We're going to kind of delve into the problem a little bit more in detail about how these things happen, and we'll be right back with the county seat. Stay tuned. Call your friends. They need to listen to this.
It's one more, here we go again. I tell myself I'm not in love, but one more time is not enough. One last kiss and then you were gone, and I'm here wishing you could stay a little longer. Stay a little longer. Wishing you could stay a little longer.
There is a place where looking out means looking in, where an impression lasting only a few seconds will be imprinted on a life forever, where courage is forged and innocence rediscovered, where remembering is rewarding and forgetting unforgettable. There is a place where truth is felt and where seeing is believing. There is a place.
The Utah Farm Bureau began as a collection of farmers supporting each other to raise the food we enjoy. Today, Farm Bureau membership encompasses everyone, whether ranchers, growers, or just everyday folks like you and me. Members enjoy discounts on items like vehicles and ATVs, or insurance that's very affordable. You don't have to be a farmer to join, and dues are small, but together we make a big difference in keeping our food supply local and abundant. Join Utah Farm Bureau.
Welcome back to the county seat. We are talking about credit card skimmers. When you go to the gas station on the way for your family outing this summer, you may end up paying the bill for somebody else to go on their vacation this summer. So we're continuing the conversation. So we kind of understand the scope. How do you guys get involved? I mean, how do you know when somebody calls in and say, I've got credit card fraud going on? How do you know to look to a gas station from the police department standpoint?
That's a very, very difficult investigative problem, because the first piece of evidence that we have is a consumer who was defrauded of their money, and we don't know how that happens. But we take a statement from that person, and we collect their financial statements, and we look at when those suspected fraudulent transactions occurred, when and where, and we will go to that point of sale and look and see if something is amiss, and we will go way out of our way to see if there's any surveillance video in the area that covers that point of sale. And a gas station commonly does have that kind of thing. A financial institution, an ATM, those things have video surveillance. And we look and see who's using that. Is there someone actually using the device there, or is that fraudulent transaction being generated from someplace else? Occasionally, we'll go pull that video and they'll say, oh, I gave my card to my son and I'm so sorry. But commonly we'll find that there's a fraudster at work. And we will start to sort through data and figure out, is this related to other incidents? How much money are we talking about? Is there a geographic focus here? Is there a regional crime trend going on? And we will work with other agencies to put together an investigative picture of crime and do what we can to interdict it based on evidence. But it is a hard piece of investigation to accomplish.
So that leads me to your end of the bargain as far as And I was surprised that this can happen in a grocery store. I mean, I can kind of see the gas pump. They're kind of away from the employee a little bit. It's kind of a self-serve thing. Somebody could come in the middle of the night when it's closed, but the pumps are still working, put the skimmer on, come back and pull it the next day. But it still raises that, the question is, how does somebody go into a store and make that work?
Well, they have different ways that they do this. They may work in groups or teams. They may distract someone while they put the skimming device into place. It's not only at gas pumps, at cash registers, at various different kinds of stores. And so people just need to be aware of their surroundings.
So how does Weights and Measures, I mean, you guys aren't out every week at every cash register. That would be impossible to do. You periodically check, I believe.
Right.
So what are you looking for? What do you guys look for that, if somebody comes in, they do it, they put a skimmer in there for 24 hours, they come peel it off a week later, a day later, and off they go. How do you ever catch it?
Well, as you mentioned, we have a staff that covers these gas pumps and these gas stations. We have 1,100 gas stations with over 33,000 pumps. So we're not there every single day, but when we are, we're looking for anything that's amiss. Our inspectors we recently had some training. We're continuing our training. We're looking at ways to improve. We're looking inside the dispensers. When we find something amiss or something that's suspicious, we'll do further investigating and look at other areas of the gas pump.
So, how often do your inspectors actually catch something in the process?
In the process?
Yeah, in other words, I mean, you go to a pump, it's clean, and you later find out that maybe somebody was there, maybe they weren't, but how often do you actually say, aha, there's a skimmer on it? How many skimmers do you guys skim?
No one's immune to this. Skimmers can be found at any gas station, at any dispenser throughout Utah. How often we find it, it has been minimal, but it's becoming more apparent and more, available, or people are more suspect to this type of thing. But that's the reason why we have improved and working on improving our program. When we're out there routinely checking these dispensers, that we become vigilant and look for these.
I think part of the problem with finding skimmers is that the first evidence we usually have is the fraud, and that depends on someone checking their account balance. And so someone may come and install a device at a point of sale on a Saturday, collect 200 card numbers and remove it later that day or the next day and be gone before any of those consumers realize that they've been victimized.
Okay, so the guy that takes the risk of getting caught or arrested and putting a skimmer on and coming back and pick it up, and he collects, say, 200 cards, how much money is he going to make?
I really don't know that. He can make money by selling the data that he collected, or he can make money by exploiting the data that he collected. And some of these fraud cases involve victims who have lost thousands of dollars. Some of them are small purchases, but all of them involve an enormous expense of inconvenience, economic loss to vendors, consumers, an investigative resource by the agencies that investigate it. It's an expensive, laborsome problem.
How do we all get involved? I mean, who bears responsibility for this? I mean, this is a question we came up during the break, is that we're not exactly sure who pays for it, but who bears responsibility in this?
Criminals. Criminals are responsible for crime. Criminals are responsible for crime.
We're not going to be able to change that mix. The rest of us are going to have to do that.
Yeah, but we're working to hold them responsible. You have the right to peaceable enjoyment of your freedom and liberty in this country, and people who disrupt that should be held responsible. So that's what we do. We work to hold the right people responsible, but you wisely divided cost from responsibility. But if you want to talk specifically about responsibility, we're hard at work making sure that criminals bear the responsibility for crime. And
so in the conversation of prevention, how that changes that dynamic, doesn't it?
Certainly. There are things that we can do, there are things that we are doing, that our agencies and others are doing to help in prevention. And consumers should be wise and do their part to make themselves less likely targets of crime. And we can talk about, things to do to make yourself a less likely victim.
So Brett, what are some of the vendors whose machines you inspect? What are they voluntarily doing on this?
The gas stations, they should be routinely checking their gas pumps for this. They should be having something in place where they're routinely looking for suspicious activity. They should be looking every day for this type of thing. All of us should be aware of this. Be cautious of when you use your card. Make sure that you keep it as secure as possible.
What are some of the more proactive vendors out there that have these machines? What have you seen them do to try and alert the consumer?
Some of them have put some security tape on the dispenser or on the gas pump. And so when a customer sees that the security tape is amiss, that they hopefully will report it to the gas station attendant. Others have placed alarm systems in the gas pump, so that when the gas pump is opened, that alarms go off, the gas pump gets shut down, so it's immediately known that someone has gained access to their gas pump.
But it still, at this point, is not just, a guy can't just drive by with a skimmer in his car. It actually has to be in the immediate proximity.
Usually when we're talking about skimmers, we're talking about a physical device that has to be installed on a point of sale and later retrieved.
Okay. We're going to take a break from the county seat. When we come back, we'll find out what you and I can do to help stem this problem.
149 million years in the making, dinosaurs once roamed this land. Now they're found at the Dinosaur National Monument. Let's take you beyond the bones. We call it Dinosaur Land. You'll find it offers adventures and sights not seen anywhere else in the world. Come to Dinosaur Land, Vernal, Utah. You'll want to stay forever. The dinosaurs did.
What would you do with an extra day in Utah Valley? Explore the Wasatch Mountains? Snap a family photo at Bridal Veil Falls. Cool off on Utah Lake or the Provo River. No matter what you're searching for, you can find it in Utah Valley. Bring everyone together.
The Layton Hills Mall offers more than just shopping. Bring the whole family and enjoy SeaQuest Interactive Aquarium to feed the fish and exotic birds, hold live reptiles, and even swim with the stingrays. Or pump up the action and visit Dartside, Utah's premier soft foam dart tag arena. And don't forget the Great Room Escape, where you can challenge your friends to solving mysteries inside themed rooms. So come and experience great fun at the Layton Hills Mall and visit playindavis.com for other great activities.
All local products have a story of magical places, real people, and delicious recipes spanning generations. So go ahead and discover flavors you've never tasted and friends you never knew you had. Utah's own Discover Local Food.
Welcome back to the county seat. We're talking about credit card skimmers and how they may affect your summer vacation. I do want to talk about the fact that this is now a growing problem, and obviously you both have said that this is on the rise. So what new things is the Weights and Measures putting into effect? What new tools are you putting into your toolbox?
Our program has met with other agencies to help improve our inspection standard operating procedures. We've met with the Utah Department of Public Safety and the FBI Cyber Task Force to help with these types of things. Our inspectors are, when they find something amiss, we're reporting it to the proper authorities as soon as possible.
Is timeliness really important?
It's very important. If someone comes to us and says that their credit information was compromised weeks ago, it's very hard for us to go back and find bad actors who took that information. If someone notices that there's account activity that's suspicious today and they report that, we can go and find video and gather evidence and make an investigation that has a much higher probability of being successful. So timely reporting for all kinds of crime, but especially this, is very important.
So what do we need to be doing? Obviously, I and the guy sitting here watching at home, we can't affect the bank and what they do. We can't really affect the business owner. We can't really come help you guys. What do we need to do?
I'd break that into two parts. I'd say be aware of your surroundings. Mm-hmm. If you are going to put your card in a gas pump number 4, for example, look at gas pump number 3 and 5 and see that they are substantially similar to the device that you're about to use. If it's a different color, if the slot where you put your card just appears different, if the lettering is different, if it appears broken or altered or open or tampered with in any way, don't use it. Don't trust any of those devices. Go report that to the operator and let someone make a reasonable inquiry and figure out what's going on. The other thing I'd say is just be aware of your account activity at all times. Check your account, make sure that only authorized users have access to it, and don't give credit information to people that you don't trust, ever.
So do you recommend getting those instant alerts from your financial institution?
Yes. Most of our financial institutions are very well attuned to this issue, and if you call them and sign up for their best level of fraud protection, Zions Bank, for example, has a free product that will alert you and give you another level of encryption.
Last word goes to you.
I just want to mention that everyone's a victim to this at times, or could be a victim. Gas station owners, the Utah citizen, et cetera, et cetera. But a person that, when they're using their car, they should be aware of their surroundings. They should pay in cash when possible. Monitor their bank accounts, their debit account, their credit card account. If they see something suspect, report it immediately so that the charges can get taken care of or appropriate actions can be taken place. And just be aware.
Okay, I guess that's it. And then park as close to the attendant as you can.
Yeah, that's another thing that a person may choose to do, is to use a pump that's closer to the store. There may be less chances for that, but not guaranteed.
There you go. Well, thank you so much for joining us. Remember, local government's where your life happens, and fraud is happening at gas stations. Be careful this summer. We'll see you next week on the County Seat.